All right, this is Dan Meehan for Fight News Australia, and today we have Matt Myers, who fights Ty Duncan for the Coastal Combat welterweight title on April 17th. Matt, how are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Good.
That's good. Thanks for stopping by. For those who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in MMA?
Yep. So I've been fighting now for since I was 18. I'm 25, almost 26. So give or take seven years. Started out at Adrenaline MMA in Cheltenham. Started off with the kickboxing and boxing, and slowly progressed to the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, and then eventually the MMA. Been fighting as a pro now since I was 22, so coming up on 3 years now as a pro, but Corona sort of put a halt to that for a little while, so I only really count two of them. And yeah, that's about it. I'm a purple belt in BJJ under Chris Brown, and yeah, that's about it.
Nice, brilliant. So you've been out of action since December 2019. I assume that's, as you mentioned, there was largely due to COVID. Did you take a break during that time, or did you train through?
Now we sort of over here in Melbourne, we had the like really strict lockdowns for a few months. And we did some secret style training back then. We were training, parking the cars down the road, and we trained all the way through, which was good in a way because, I made a lot of mistakes in my last fight. So we got to spend a lot of time working and growing and developing a really good system out of adrenaline. Um, yeah, it was just time spent in the gym. I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything, so we just sat in the gym and just train and train and train.
Yeah, right. We might have to cut that part out just in case Dan Andrews is listening there.
Yeah, you won't be too happy about that.
All good, all good. What are some of the biggest improvements you feel like you made in that time, just being able to train without a sort of a fight or a game plan to focus on?
Yep. I'd I'd probably think all round. I've always been quite handy with my striking. But spending all this time with Chris, like one-on-one time basically with Chris to tailor make my own system. Um, I'd probably have to say the wrestling, the cage wrestling, and the ground. So the grappling, definitely the grappling side. Like the more time I'm spending with him and Aiden one on one without having to coach or have any other distraction or more students, then it would definitely have been the grappling.
Yeah, right. There you go. Are you in MMA full time now, or are you just sort of coaching and fighting, or do you have a day job like a lot of fighters starting out?
Uh, full time, full time. I'm lucky enough that Chris has given me the opportunity to coach at Adrenaline, uh, so I can focus full time on fighting and training and giving this a good crack. And not just half halving it. I've had a few fights working a full time job, and it was horrible. It's really hard trying to cut weight and you know dieting and training hard all while going to work, and your boss is on your back, and then you come to the gym and you're not training very well because you're just exhausted from work. So I don't know how some of the boys do it where they work full time, but at the moment I'm fighting MMA full time.
Brilliant. Now, yeah, as I mentioned off the top, you're taking on Ty Duncan up in Queensland for the Coastal Combat welterweight title. As a Melbourne-based fighter, how did you sort of find yourself linking up with Coastal Combat?
Um, it was all through Chris and Dom Chev, my two coaches. We just got. I think we were just trying to find fights anywhere. Like Melbourne was so strict with their lockdown, and for a while, like we couldn't have fights down here. So Chris just reached out to some Queensland promotions, and Dom did too. And we got linked up with Coastal Combat. I know Ty was having a hard time finding fights, so they chucked us his name first up, and we took it. We grabbed that opportunity as soon as we could.
Nice. All right. Um, And yeah, how's training camp been? We've got Aiden Aguilera, your teammate, on the same card. Imagine you guys are getting a fair bit of work in.
Yeah, a lot, a lot. Aiden's like really now my main training partner. Like we both work the same jobs. He's a bit of a mentor for me. He's a lot more experienced, and um, training camp's been really good. We're pushing each other every day and just growing as athletes and as people. Um, but yeah, training really hard, always hard, especially that Olympic wrestling style training. It's always hard. We always come in fit and prepared.
Nice. And it looks like you're booked for 5 minute rounds this time around. Does that sort of change your approach to training and sort of what your loads are?
So not five. We've actually got three. So under the contract, it's 3 5 minute rounds for their title. Um, I would have liked five. I think I'm more of a 5-5 fighter. Uh, Definitely the cardio aspect would have been better, but yeah, this one is 3 5 minute rounds as a title fight, so a bit different, but it would have been good to get those 5 5s in.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it looks like Tapology's let me down there when I was doing my research there. So there you go, 3 5s. um, how much do you know about Ty Duncan?
um, I know he's quite scrappy on the feet. He's just got his black belt, and he's very opportunistic on the ground. Like he'll jump for submissions when he sort of thinks he has them at any opportunity. So he's a good opponent. He's he's a good name for me to get coming off my first loss, and get back in that win column with Ty will put me straight back where I was before.
Nice. Are you the type to watch tape, or do you leave that up to Chris and Dom?
Yeah, a little bit of time on the tape, but not really. I leave that more up to Chris and Dom. Aiden watches a fair bit of tape too. I trust my coaches, and they're going to give me the best game plan possible. Usually, when Chris says, or actually not usually, it's all the time. When Chris says someone's going to do something, they always do it. So it's every single fight I've had, he's been right. He'll say, this guy's going to do this guy's going to do that. I've seen it with all my fights, all Aiden's fights, all everyone else's fights I've seen. So I have 100% trust in him and Dom. So I leave a lot of that up to them.
Brilliant. And how do you feel you match up with him? How do you get your hand raised on the night?
I think I need to be patient with Ty. He's going to be quite jerky and erratic at the start. Um, I see myself landing shots. I see Ty rushing in for a takedown and trying to get me down. I see Ty getting tired, and I see myself finishing him or just picking him apart over 15 minutes. But I think there's going to be a war of attrition. I I think my cardio will play a huge part in how this fight goes, and just being able to be there for that whole 3 5 minutes and push at pace.
Sounds good. And after April 17th, what are your plans for the rest of the year? Do you plan to sort of defend the belt, assuming that you win, or can we expect to see you back in the cage here in Melbourne?
Um, I'd, as many fights as possible. I want to fight heaps. I've taken way too much time off with this COVID stuff, so I need to get really back on there and fight as much as possible. I think there's a Hex in July, which I'd love to jump on. Aiden's the matchmaker now, so I'll put in a good word and hopefully he can get me in. And yeah, if Coastal Combat wants to have me back to defend, I'll jump straight back on. Anything, I'll fight on anything. As long as Chris and Dom are happy with it, I'll fight.
Yeah, it must be pretty handy knowing the matchmaker from Hex so well. You can find your fights, and now that things are up and running again.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. Quite handy.
In the longer term, what are your goals in MMA? Obviously, you're only 25 now, but where would you like to go with your career?
Um, I'd definitely like to fight in the UFC and just test myself against the best in the world. And fight the best in the world, be at the top, and just grow through this martial arts journey. Just keep going with it. So far, I've grown so much as a person, and it's helped me more than anyone will ever really understand, other than myself. But yeah, definitely fighting in some of the top promotions, UFC, Bellator, Ryzen, ONE FC, any of them, and fighting the best guys in the world. I want to test myself against them and see how I fare.
Right. And obviously, you've only got 3 fights on your professional record at the moment. But how far off do you think you are from an opportunity like that?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty realistic. A fair way. I've got to fight a lot of guys to get there, and I'm more than happy to do that. Uh, I love this journey, and I love fighting, and I just love the whole preparation. I love everything that it comes with. So I'm more than happy to fight whoever I need to get there, and I'll enjoy that process. So yeah, fair while away. Fair
Yeah.
while.
All good. Fantastic. So yeah, before I let you go, do you have any sponsors or anyone you'd like to shout out? I'll hand over to you.
Yep. No sponsors, but I'd definitely like to shout out all the boys at Adrenaline. Um, Dom, Chris, Aiden, my training partners, Kieran Daly, Val Sharapov, Harry Chrysalis, all those boys there. Without them, none of it would be possible. And that's about it. Everyone at Adrenaline, we love everyone over there. So shout out to everyone at Adrenaline.
Fantastic. Matt, thank you so much for stopping by, and all the best on April 17th.
No worries. Thank you for having me.